Well, you mentioned iron ore there. I would like to get you thinking on iron ore and what the charts are telling us, because it's so instrumental, it's so important to so many people. So what are we looking at here?
Yeah, well, if you look at this chart, you can see that since December last year, iron ore futures, this is the Dalian
Yeah.
futures chart, we're in a medium-term trend higher, as we saw with the ASX. The 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages were in a bullish formation, all pointing higher. And that ended in July when the 50-day moving average started to tilt lower, and this was confirmed when the price fell below the 200-day moving average for the first time since April 2020. You can see that the 200-day moving average, once it broke, and that comes in at 888, not an ominous number there, that comes in at 888. And we've tried, since breaking, we've tried to get above that level a couple times, and it's been rejected. But if we did get above that, that would relieve the downward pressure and possibly signal a bottom place. On the other hand, and this chart does look a bit weak to me, if there's more price weakness and we fall below the August 20th low at 735, it would be bearish. And the other thing you want to watch here is the 50-day moving average has crossed below the 100-day moving average, which is a sign of that momentum is now turning to the downside. But if it was to cross below the 200-day moving average, it's known as a death cross, and that would be considered extremely bearish. So yeah, I think the iron ore price, to me, tends to overshoot in both directions, since I've been watching it for years, because it's, as you say, it's so instrumental for our terms of trade. It's very, very important for the Aussie dollar. I've got a feeling that, with China, the demand out of China is going to probably stay weak. There's a few measures coming out of China to limit the steel production. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have an overshoot to the downside. Probably present some opportunities. And, I think the global recovery, while may have peaked, is not completely over. But I think that the downside is the risk for the moment on iron ore.
Risk to the downside on iron ore. So does that mean risk to the downside for those highly leveraged companies to the iron ore price? Fortescue Metals, of course, comes to mind first. It reported earlier in the week. It's always talking about demand remaining strong from China. But if the price moves, it's going to impact the share price, correct?
That's absolutely correct. And there's such a strong relationship. As some people say, Fortescue is an iron ore play. Now, so what we have here on this chart that's up on the screen now is an overlay of Fortescue, which is in white, and the Dalian iron ore, which is in burnt orange. So yeah, there are some leads and lags, but you can see the correlation, where they peak, where they fall, where they bottom, where they go back up again, pretty closely correlated. So, without, sort of getting into Fortescue Metals as a company, not at all, but if you were to view Fortescue as a barometer for what's happening in iron ore or vice versa, if iron ore price is ready to move down and in a significant way, which it has the potential to do so, I believe, that would mean that based on the correlation, Fortescue could move down with it. So it's an interesting chart. It really does show that the two are pretty well correlated as you look. And I did a correlation study that's not on this chart, and it's running very, very high at the moment, particularly high since it started moving down.